Hello and welcome to the Tuesday preview for the Cheltenham Festival, coming to you from oddschecker and sponsored by Parimatch. I'm your host, George Ellick, and before we go through the card on the Tuesday with my guests, Andy Holding and Aidan O'Hara, here is a welcome offer from Parimatch's Emma.
Cheltenham's calling, and now is the perfect time to be joining Parimatch. Cheltenham Festival is one of the biggest events in the racing calendar. 4 days of top-class action with unforgettable moments. And right now, Parimatch have a belting new customer offer just for the festival. They'll also have daily super boosts for all new and existing customers. If you're a new customer, simply bet £10 on racing at evens or bigger, and you'll get a £20 free bet to use on racing. It's that simple. So whether you're lining up a favourite or hunting for a bit of festival value, Parimatch is the place to be. Sign up now, place your £10 bet at evens or bigger on racing, and enjoy a £20 free bet on us. Terms and conditions apply. You've got to be over 18 to participate, and please gamble responsibly.
Thanks, Emma. Yeah, brilliant offer there. So if you haven't got a Parimatch account already, make sure you sign up for one. I'll be going through the cards each day of the Cheltenham Festival and each race of the Cheltenham Festival using the Parimatch prices and place terms too. So do sign up for an account and use that offer. But let's get into the racing. Day one of the festival, Andy.
Yeah.
Always one of the greatest days in racing. The build-up. Everyone will be incredibly excited on course in the pubs around the country. You going to be there?
Absolutely, yeah. Been there for 30 odd years now. The only day I missed since when Forgive and Forget won the Gold Cup, that was the first one I went to, would be Desert Orchids Gold Cup. I haven't missed a day since. What a day to miss, Desert Orchids Gold Cup. Yeah. Other than Dawn Run, probably one of the most memorable Gold Cups. But yeah, ever present, absolutely love it, still get excited, still can't sleep the night before. And we've got a great meeting this year with regards to numerical competitors. I think we've got some really wide open novice races, which is great. We've usually had short prize favourites. It's going to absolutely suit Aidan's eye perfectly when he talks about some of these races. He's going to come at them from a totally different angle. So it'll be nice and refreshing to have some different opinions other than, oh, this did a fast time, that did a fast time for myself.
Yeah, Aidan, you are the new big name signing to the oddschecker tipping ranks ahead of the Cheltenham Festival. No pressure, of course. But yeah, for those who don't know about your method and the way that you generally like to tip, just fill us in.
Okay, so I'm looking for value. I'm looking for a big price. I'm a small punter. I've always been a small punter, so doubling my money has absolutely no interest to me. So I will never pick those kind of short price favourites. Funny what Andy said. I wouldn't be 100% sure it would suit the long shots this year as much as when there's a short price favourite and nobody's interested in anything else. You get kind of ridiculous prices at the top end. But I mean, there's definitely going to be value. Sometimes and this is probably, since I'm going 20 years, and I haven't missed one other than the COVID one. I think this is definitely the best festival now in terms of competitiveness.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Unfortunately, Masborough coming out is like the only, I was looking forward to that race. That was it though. Every other race is fully competitive. So I'm really looking forward to it. And there are the things like the Supreme now are unbelievably tough.
Yeah.
The handicaps are definitely more straightforward, I think. Which not always. My things with the likes of the Supreme is, we go for one of the Willie Mullins third string again. The way they had the 4 and 5 places, things like that.
Yeah.
And it's worked out over the years. But these are tough novice races now.
Andy, we'll have a look before we get to the Supreme. A quick weather chat. It's obviously been a very, very wet winter, and that means we've seen a lot of national hunt racing on soft and heavy ground. But going into the Cheltenham Festival, we're having dry, mild weather. Some rain forecast next week. How's that kind of playing into the way you're seeing things?
I think that rain will be welcome, won't it? Because it'll just freshen it back up again. It's just got a little bit of a potential to be quite tacky. Obviously, being so deep underneath the surface, it would have gone right down, but the top of it would have dried out. So it means that it is going to be quite difficult for the clerk to get absolutely perfect universal ground that he would be happy with. So the first race, when they open it up, could be quite interesting to see how it pans out on the day. Talking about the ground, I can't understand for the life of me why they'd allow the Fred Winter to be run prior to the Champion Hurdle, having 22 juveniles churn up the ground prior to the best race of the week with regards to the purists over 2 miles. I think that's strange. That's always been after the Champion Hurdle. But apart from that, You know, it should be set fair. Weather should be good. Nice blue sunshine for the race goers. A nice sort of adds to the carnival atmosphere of it all. You know, you don't really want it pouring down the rain all week. That's no good to anyone. But because of the slight kink in changing ground to what it's been through the majority of the trials over the year, I think we are going to get a few turn-ups because of it. I don't think all the form is going to stand up.
I mean, does that, given that you tip at big prices, Aidan, and you said that your average price on the last 6 festivals is 36 to 1?
Yeah.
Does having a festival run on in completely different conditions to the rest of the season open an opportunity there for you to find some bigger prices, horses that might be missed? Yeah,
it does, yeah. And there will be a few, and there'll be a few I'll be talking about. I'd be worried about the DRF Hurdle farm. I just thought that was, I'm not sure that was even really heavy. I think that was really, really bad ground. And I had in mind a few for the likes of the 2 mile race, which one isn't confirmed, but still there's another few that I think you can look back at those races and change your opinion, judge it by price. And I kind of had a re-look, but it's the Hurdles farm from DRF, which previously would be kind of everything coming into this.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be that sure about it now.
Okay, well, let's talk about a hurdle race and the Supreme Novice Hurdle. Always the curtain raiser at the Cheltenham Festival. There will be that Cheltenham Roar as they go on Tuesday afternoon. And Old Park Star is the 15-8 favourite with Parimatch ahead of Mighty Park at 4 to 1. Talk the Talk at 4 to 1. El Kairos is 11 to 2. My Daddy Paddy 10 to 1. Leader D'Atelier is 12 to 1. Lord's Head Ballyfad and Idaho Sun and Sober Glory. 14 to 1, King Rasco Grey and Sober. Now, we should say, of course, we're recording this on the Thursday before the festival, so we haven't had final decks yet. A lot of these horses will be running in the Turners, but with Parimatch, you get non-runner, no bet. And, you know, the prices will change over the course of the 5 or 6 days until the festival starts. Andy.
Yep.
Got a good record in this race?
It's one of my favourite betting races of the week, yeah.
Who wins this year?
I won't say definitely wins, but I think one of the value bets in the race, which is taking a leaf out of Aidan's book, is Idaho Sun. I've done a few of these previews now, and I've said all along that I just think he's slightly overpriced, given that he fits a lot of the trends. I'm not really a trends man, but what I do like to back in the first race is a horse potentially that, or not potentially, but at least has performed well at a Grade 1 level, preferably won one, and he has when he won the Form B. He's unbeaten over hurdles, which is another tick in the box. Most of the winners of the Supreme, I think Aidan will back me up on this, have come there off the back of a win last time out. You don't rarely get horses that finish 2nd and 3rd in any of their trials, obliged. So I do think you need horses that are obviously coming in there all singing and dancing, which he is. And I love the way he turned away My Daddy Paddy at Aintree, obviously the big talking horse in the early part of the season. But the race is run at a strong championship pace. Starmate made sure that was the case. There's some good horses in there, not top class horses all the way through, but good solid horses. And I love the way that Idaho Sun quickened. He stayed really well. I think that's the key to him. He does travel and he stays. You're going to need horses that find plenty off the bridle to win this. We don't know about a few of these whether they will find plenty off the bridle, like the likes of Nicky's horse, Old Park Star, Mighty Park if he comes in here. Obviously he did it really well on the Ian on the clock when he won a bit of a time trial up to Punchestown, but we've yet to know what he can do in Grady company when he's challenged for the lead, when he comes off the bridle. Again, that's a bit of an unknown, and you've been asked to take a short price about him to find out. So I just think 14 to 1 for Idaho Sun, particularly on the day, if you can get 4 or 5 places. And I think if we do get a decent sized field, 15, 16, which looks potentially that it could be the case, I'll be quite happy to play him in some of the exotic markets. Quite a lot of firms now bet sort of 4, 5, 6 places. And you can have a fiddle around with him. I'll be surprised if he's not in the first half dozen, because he's already got previous Cheltenham form as well when he ran well in last year's bumper. And he hasn't got that much to find with El Kairos just strictly on that run. And he's more experienced over hurdles and he's done more. So I definitely think he's the forgotten horse of the race, Idaho Sun.
Idaho Sun, yeah, 12 to 1 with Parimatch for the Supreme. Aidan, how do you see this? Any value you can find?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with Idaho Sun. I'm more negative about some of the near the top of the market, like Talk to Talk. I don't think he jumps well enough. I think he is going here as well. El Kairos, no, I wouldn't. I don't really fancy that. I am slightly worried about this Mighty Park because all the years going, I'm not sure I've heard Willie Mullins say what he's kind of said there that often in the past. And if you look what he's had running this in the past, very positive about that, but it doesn't matter. I wouldn't be backing it. What I had in mind for this all along, and it's on the exchange that he's not running, but I'm not sure. I really like Ballyfad. I would much prefer him to run here than in the Turners. I just think it's going to suit him. And that ground, his novice hurdle before in December, he just looked very good. And I was at Dublin Race, I seen him. He just looks to me like a horse that can get ahead in a Supreme and stay there. I'd love him to be running. I have a couple of, we'll say, very big price horses that are either running here or in the Turners. The one I've looked at most, we'll say, is totally from left field. It's a horse called Free Spirit, who's only run once for Willie Mullins. He started him off in a grade 1. Now, there's only 3 runners, so like not really a grade 1. But his form in France is very good. His previous form is very good. And just given kind of normal improvement, it wasn't a very, you've seen the ride, it was relatively straightforward. It was a real first time out ride. I think he could be something. So I'm looking for him in either this or the Turners and with the 4 or 5 places. And he may be somewhere in the 80 or 66 to 1 range. If I got extra places on the likes of him. And the other one I'm interested similarly is Cocktail Brute. It's the same kind of thing. I think he'll be more suited to the ground. I'm unsure which race either of those two are going to. Could be the Turners for both of them. They might flip-flop. We'll see what happens. But I think Cocktail Brute had a very poor run at Christmas. And when I looked back at that race in the heavy ground at the Dublin Racing Festival, I wasn't as negative, because I had been all over another one of Willie's, Le Devon Enfant, that was heavily backed, and I was already, that was going to be my supreme pick, because I just saw the way he travelled in that, and I don't think he liked the ground, and I thought he'd be ideal for that. But when I look back at it, there's not a lot of difference. Cocktail Brute, it's a reasonable run, not that far behind. I don't think the ground is ideal for him. So again, at a huge price, depending on where he goes, those are the two I'm interested in. For Winside, I just love that Ballyfad. So I'm just wondering, and I kind of would prefer him to go here.
Yeah, but Ballyfad is available to back at kind of 80 to 1 at the moment on the exchanges, which suggests the Turners is likely. 66 to 1 Free Spirit, 66 to 1 with Cocktail Brute. Both of those are non-run, no bet with Parimatch. So you can take the chance now, although you think maybe go for bigger price.
No, I think wait, and I think you'll definitely get 4 places anyway. And with one like that, I think you're going to. I'd like to have an extra place or 2 on it. Yeah, really interesting. Finished just 6.5 lengths behind Talk the Talk at Leopardstown last time out. On to the Arkle then, where we've had flip-flopping favourites basically throughout the last couple of months. But currently, Kopek de Board is the 11 to 8 favourite ahead of Lalamba at 15 to 8. Cargesi is 5 to 1, as is Romeo Coolio. 10 to 1 Irish Panther, 14 to 1 Steel Ally, 14 to 1 Capajo Pike, 25 to 1 bar those. Gave Andy first run in the first. Couple of short price favourites here at the top of the market. Aidan, can you find some? I struggle to get anything big price anyway, because there's half a dozen very good horses near the top of the market. I think it's definitely the best Arkle I can remember anyway. I'm not as negative like Kopek. This has all the hallmarks of that guy who used to sing Ruby Tuesday a few years ago every time Ruby came in on the Tuesday. Just the way they're telling, like Kopek de Board's last year's run is obviously really good. So is his having one run though. I mean, I don't think you could really be backing him, but God, they're so confident. And in the past, those type of ones close to the day, they've been mostly correct. Lalamba just doesn't look a 2-miler, but I think he'd want to be a long way behind them, not to be able to catch almost anything up that hill. For me, anyway, I was impressed the last time. Cargesi's fast. The one that I've kind of come back to a little bit, and I'm not as negative as maybe a lot of people are. I'm not that negative about Romeo Coolio on this. I'm not that sure he's that. They're saying he's slow. He got to 3 miles. I don't think he's that slow. He has got caught. He might get caught maybe coming down the hill, but he's probably going to go up that hill really well. I'm not sure. I'm at the moment, if I was to back one horse and he was in this at the prices they are, I might go with Romeo Coolio. I have a sneaking suspicion he's not as slow, and his jumping is really good. I think he's not as slow as the general consensus is, and that he caught Cargesi relatively easily enough at Leopardstown. Then he had the bad jump, and then he kind of stopped. We don't know really, but I think he's a quicker than people are giving him credit for. And at the price of, say, Kopek at 6 to 4, Lamba 2 to 1, him at 7, 8 to 1, or whatever. It's hard to tell because he's kind of a big price in the exchange, but I can't see him going to that 3 mile race. The risk is him not going at all, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I actually have turned myself around to him a bit.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't think it's as slow as the general consensus.
Trading a big price at the moment, so again, another one maybe to wait and see. But yeah, much bigger price in the exchange than the 5-1 you're getting currently, so may well drift if this is the plan. Andy, how do you see the Arkle?
Well, it's a real contrast in sort of fortunes with Kopek de Board. If you look at his Supreme Novice Hurdle time figure that we got from last season, it's the second quickest speed figure of the whole meeting. Factor 4 was the best. And Kopek de Board Supreme was second best, beating all those other good races along the way, including the Gold Cup. So it was a serious piece of form. It looked good at the time. You know, the fact that Romeo Coolio, who was unbeaten at the time, was third, and see what he's done so far this season. Salvatore Mundi was fifth. He went on to win next time out. Even Tutti Quanti, look at what he's done. He got battered and he's won several big races this season. Oronce, the seventh, that went on to win as well at Aintree. Was it Cargo, I think, first. Carbu, further down the field. He looks quite a nice horse and could easily win the county hurdle later on in the card. So the speed figure was backed up by all the subsequent form and runs of all the others in behind. So just based on hurdle times that we've got, he's a long way clear of these, even though Lalamba clocked quite a good time in the Triumph. But conversely, he's the slow. He ran in the. He's not the slowest, but he ran in the slowest run race over fences coming into this of all the horses in here, the ones that we keep. He's right at the bottom of the pile. Now that wasn't his fault because that's just the nature of the way that it panned out at Navan first time out. He did what he had to do. He didn't beat a great deal. It was almost like a bit of a schooling exercise in many respects. He's then subsequently had a little bit of a setback. To all accordance, he's been working great at home. He took him to, Fairy House the other day, and he jumped really, really well. So you're in a bit of a dilemma with him. Do you go with him expecting a Supreme Novices run, or is that lack of experience at this championship pace over fences going to catch him out, where others like Lalamba have already run championship times? The time that we got him doing when he won at the Game Spirit would have won the last 4 or 5 Arkles. So if he does what he does, Lalamba, and Kopek de Board doesn't do what he did in last year's Supreme, then I think Lalamba will probably beat him. And I think if Lalamba's anywhere near Kopek de Board turning for home, and it's a question of stamina rather than speed, if they go quick enough, which I think they probably will, I also think Lalamba will probably pick him up, because Lalamba has been very strong in the back end of his races after a bit of a slow start. He's just been a bit hesitant. He's been a bit up and down over his fences, just a bit careful. But he can let fly. And those railway fences down the back, he was bang there. He was 10 behind. All of a sudden, he was on top of the front runner, the grey horse of Skelton's. Be aware. So he's very deceptive, Lalamba, deceptively quick. He's a bit like the Grim Reaper. I think he'll just come at them, and all of a sudden, the race will be over. So I prefer Lalamba just from a solidity point of view.
Yeah.
I think the race is nice for some each way value at this stage. There's talk about Irish Panther potentially going to the Champion Chase, and that just backs up what Aidan said. This is how strong this race is, that Eddie Hart is looking at the Champion Chase as an easier option than the Arkle against his own sort of category. I do think there's one at a big price, and Aidan hasn't mentioned it, which I thought he might actually, but I'll probably give him the opportunity to have a look at it. Is Jax Jr. I don't think he's a Grade 1 horse at the moment, but he's done some really good numbers, and I like the fact, similar to Lalamba, he won an older race handicap at Sandown, or ran against the older horses, not a graded race, of course. But he was really good that day. That was off the back of a Windot when he flopped the time before. But he's run against a lot of our best novices, and I thought he was brilliant the other day. His jumping was absolutely pinpoint all the way through. He's probably one of the best jumpers in the field. He's definitely got one of the best jumping indexes. So if the race falls apart and one or two of the big guns, the big heads, don't run up to form and they take each other on, and we've seen strange things happen in the Arkle, he could easily pick up some pieces and he'd be 40 to 1 on the day. So I would hate to not risk a few quid on Jax Jr. at a bit of a shot at the stumps job.
Yeah, Jax Jr. 33 to 1 currently. Bit of Cheltenham form in the book as well, albeit on the new course.
Yeah, he ran in last year's Albert Bartley. I mean, I don't know why they ran him over 3 miles. He's not a 3 miler, but the fact that he does get 2.5 is good.
And won a race on the new course a month later as well in a novice hurdle. So
he's a bit of a flyer, but I think Lalambra probably. I had a small interest in him before he won the Game Spirit. No great price, but better than what he is now, and I'll be cheering him on. But on the day, if I can get a big price about Jack Stune, I'll have a round of drinks on him.
On to the third race of the day, a new home for what used to be the Fred Winter Juvenile Hurdle, now the McCoy Contractors Juvenile Hurdle, handicap hurdle, where we have Saratoga is the 5-1 favourite alongside Winston Jr. Manlanga is 6-1, 8-1 Mansif, Ames and La Luna Artista, both 10-1, 12-1 Glen to Glen, and Mustang to Broy, and then Madness to Tell. And Dignam, both 14-1, 16-1 bar those. Currently just a quarter to 4, but I expect some extra places on the day, so keep an eye out on Parimatch for those. Andy, how do you see this?
Well, interestingly, the front two in the market here fall down on a glaring stat in this race, which, courtesy of the stats I look at, is it Brian Galt who does them? Brian Galt, I always look at the Galt stats. Okay. And it's not in every stat manual, if you like. British bred horses in this race are 0 from 77.
Wow.
Now, I don't pay any attention to the other stupid one, like favourites in this race are 0 from 10, because that's just variance, isn't it? But there's got to be a reason why British bred horses don't run well in this race. There's more scientific evidence with pedigrees. The first two in the market, Manlager is a Maxios, and Saratoga's a Camelot. And I don't think Camelot's got a great record at the Cheltenham Festival. So the front two in the market, both JP and O, fall down on that score, if you like. I actually do really like Manlager as a horse. I think she's a really nice filly. She could probably easily use those stats, but it's just slightly put me off at short prices. The pair of them coupled. I'm going to be a bit of an Aidan job here and look towards a couple at big prices. I do remember Gordon Elliott winning this race in these colours with a horse called Flax and Flare many years ago, and he's got Coombs in this. Now, if our data and figures are right about Proactive, who is favourite now for the Triumph, he ran the fastest time figure that we've got, even better than Narcisco Hearts when he won on debut at Fairy House. And I was really impressed with Proactive, and he saw off Coombs, who went toe-to-toe with him all the way. And although he succumbed to the better horse, who was a Grade 1 horse on the run-in, he still ran well to finish 4th. And I like his profile prior to that. He'd run against the older horse, he'd been running on bad ground, but he basically is a good ground horse. You look at his flat form, it's all on decent ground. He's actually a barrier trial winner on good ground. And he's not off a bad mark. And Gordon's got a really good record apart from Flax and Flare. I think he's won it 2 times subsequently, Aramax, and I think he's won it another big one. And you tend to get big price horses that are overlooked running well here. Wouldn't surprise me if LA ran well. Again, I like his profile. Always running well in those sort of nice trials that have produced this winner before, and he'll be overlooked. He'll be 20-1. So a lot of the sort of market has gone down the obvious route. You know, your Munsifs, the Saratogas out of that race at Nace, your Manlagers, the sexy ones. I've just got a sneaky feeling like a lot of these big handicaps on better ground at this festival, we're going to get some funny results. So I'm prepared to look for the funny results, not rather go with the obvious in this race.
Yeah, Coombs 33-1 currently with Parimatch, 20-1 about Ole Ole. The two can be positive mentions there, big prices for Andy. Aidan, how do you see it?
Incredibly similar, but a different horse, right? Okay. You've mentioned all the horses that I'm really sweet on Quinto del Lego in this one.
It's a British bred.
Is it?
Unfortunately, yeah. I did look at that. I checked it out.
That's one thing I probably.
But at the price,
really,
you can have it. Yeah, you'd still have a swing at it, but it is a British bred.
So he went like a hunt. He won. So all his farmers worked out everything. He's beaten a horse called Lucy Dwyer, who's won when she came over to the UK. He beat Ole Ole in his next maiden hurdle, and that looked really good. He looked beaten there again, but he's just ground it out, and then he's kind of gone away right at the end. This is a real battler now. He ran probably as well as could be expected at Christmas. You can get an ideal run behind Narciso has, but those races are actually the ideal trial anyway for the Fred Winter. You're always going to be looking at those. But he was third in that race behind Proactive and Macho Man. And similarly again, he's first trying. And he gets past the likes of Coombs and Munsif and that. And I just think this is a really serious battler, which works in the Fred Winter, and which you kind of need.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at, he'd be kind of prominent, I'd imagine. But he's been given a break since then, and I do like his mark, I have to say. 128, I think. And you have one of the old things I used to hang my hat on years ago was there are certain trainers that if they send a horse, they just don't, pepper horses all over the place. And Jessie Harrington would be one of those. She's just not. This horse has had a break. He's coming in here now. The mark looks right. The form is the standard type of form for a Fred Winter horse. And he's 33 to 1. I'd be very happy with that.
Yeah, 25 to 1 currently with Parimatch.
With that as well, you're getting a quarter. One like that, you're getting a quarter now, and you'll be getting a fifth. Now there might be 6 places, but quarter, 4 places exactly the same as 5 places.
Well, it's interesting how it's often assumed that the more places you get, the better. But actually, when you're sacrificing a fifth rather than a quarter,
no, they can be for some. It can be for me in particular. Some of the huge price ones, you want those 2 extra, but you really do. But that one, I see him as being very competitive in this, and I think I'd prefer the quarter to forward.
So have a bet now and then look on the day as
well.
well.
No, I've had a bet now, yeah.
I think the mathematician in Aidan will always take the 4 places with a better place terms, but I think the common man in the street, psychologically, if he thinks he can get 5 or 6 places, that's the route he'll go down.
Yeah.
Depends on the horse sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, say, ones I'm doing and they're 50, 60 to 1. I can make a case that I'm absolutely certain they're going to finish in the first 7, 8, right? Say in a 20-runner handicap. And then that kind of certainty, the extra place or 2, just gives you a much better chance of getting placed. You know what I mean? There's horses like that, often the big price ones, I'm thinking, right, they're not going to be, they obviously do finish last plenty times, but I'm making that kind of case in these handicaps, and then I like the extra place or 2. Certain ones I pick, the win price is about what they are, 50 to 1 or whatever, and that's their chance. But I would estimate their place chance at less than half the 10 to 1 you're getting, something like that. Yeah. And then you want the extra places. This one I think has a win. It's just overpriced win and place. It's just I can see it winning, and I mean Jessie, when she sends a few, I do get interested anyway.
Ginter Delago, I was actually there last weekend, is 25 to 1, so maybe that's an omen, although my golf was so poor that maybe it isn't. Right, on to the Ultima, now the Ultima handicap chase, where we have Jaguar as the 4 to 1 favourite ahead of Iroko at 6 to 1, 7 to 1 handstands, 10 to 1 Maretown. Quebecois is 12 to 1 alongside Johnny Hu and Highland, 16 to 1 bar those, all those prices with Parimatch. Aidan, how do you see the Ultima?
Okay, this warrants a change of plan for me, this Ultima, because years ago I was able to knock in every second Ultima a 50 to 1 place, something like that, years ago. I haven't had, this is definitely my worst race at the festival the last 10 years. It's just a classic.
Irish horses, probably.
No, I tell you one thing, that I definitely don't do that.
No.
I mean, you kind of have to now, but back years ago I would have been dead against Irish favourites because they were winning 3 races at the festival. I was kind of laughing at the prices. But anyway, I just think I'm not going to go down the end. I can't really see anything anyway, but I'm really sweet on Highland in this. And I'm sort of against quintessential handicap. This Jaguar and Iroko, they're too short. They've been pulled out, they've had plans for so long. Iroko, I think the plan is too long. You know what I mean? He should have been winning races all along. So maybe he's just not as good as it seems. And he's quite a high mark. Highland's last run, though, was very good, I think. And I think he just looks like the right kind of horse for this race. I think it'll suit him. The ground is probably going to be decent. But I think he'd have won that race at Ascot, but I think he had a bad jump, second last. And if you just look at some of his novice farm and his farm around Cheltenham, I did get a bit disappointed in that he was 25 to 1, and I have been the odd Yankee that I done, a month ago or whatever at that. But I think we can see from the Ultima that usually last few years only 1 of 6 or 7 are able to win the thing anyway. And I definitely have him in that I'd have him in 1 of 4 or 5. So then I'm happy to back him at 12, 14 to 1. And I think he's the right profile. He's like last year's Novices, so I think that's usually the type of thing for this. So I really like Highland. He'd be one of my first picks in a race I haven't a great record in, but I'm happy with him now. So.
Highland 12-1 currently with Parimatch for Nicky Henderson and for Aidan O'Hara. Andy?
Yeah, I'll be similar of an opinion to Aidan in this race. I've had a lot of near misses in this. I've backed a couple that have either fallen when they've looked well handicapped or they've just got nutted. I remember the one horse, Kim Bailey horse, the one year I thought was a good thing and went off fairly short price favourite. A Sue Smith horse beat me at 50-1. That'd have been around the block more times than a Tramp's Dog.
Cloudy Bay or something, was it?
Something like that, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'd definitely give Highland a shout. It actually comes out of the race that I'm quite keen on, that Deep Cove race at Ascot. It was quite a well-run race and the form's not bad. Highland probably would have won it other than that mistake, I get that. But I was quite happy with the way that the second horse ran, Leave of Absence. He only just got done on the line. And similar to Highland, he wants good ground and goes well around Cheltenham. He won early on the season. He beat Pied Piper, if you recall, when Pied Piper looks as though he was travelling all over him. It was an extraordinary gamble in the Denman Chase the other day at Newbury. He went to 4-1 to beat Haiti Killer and Long Press when he was a double-figure price in the morning. And he was running on the ground that didn't want him. It was a strange one. If it was good ground, you think, well, fair enough.
Yeah.
But it was heavy ground, bottomless. And he ran really well. I thought he was actually coming to win 3 out because I'd back Haiti Killer off the front. I thought, we're in trouble here. Leave of Absence is coming there quite strongly. But then, sort of like the signs took over and the better horse on the ground ended up outstaying him. But up to a point, like I say, went really well. And that was a nice prep. And Anthony Honeyball's got an amazing record in 3-mile handicap chases. I don't think he's got too many peers. So I would probably go along with those two out of that Ascot race. Aidan's already had Highland, so I'll take Leave of Absence.
Forecast in play there, probably.
There you go.
If that race is good, they can't be too far away from each other.
Yeah. But they've both got C&D form. That's the thing. You were not taking a punt. There's quite a few in this race that have got nice profiles and they look well handicapped. And they're not. But Cheltenham form and Cheltenham Festival form is key, and Highland's got it. Leave of Absence hasn't got Cheltenham Festival form, but he's got Cheltenham form.
Yeah.
And he's a prominent racer.
Leave of Absence is 20-1. That's matching the best price on the oddschecker grids with Parimatch. Highland 12-1. So form that ties in with each other. Not for the first time on the show between the two. So yeah, as the guys say, maybe on the day look for a reverse forecast or something of the like. On to the Champion Hurdle now, where the New Lion is the 15-8 favourite ahead of Lossiemouth. We'll have our annual chat about where Lossiemouth's going to run in a second. And Brighter Days Ahead, also in there at 11-4. Golden Ace, last year's winner, who picked up the pieces when things went awry for most of the other runners, is 5-1. Poneros, the Triumph winner from last year, at a huge price now, 8-1. 16-1 bar those. So Andy, where do we think Lossiemouth's going to turn up this year? Well,
listening to Rich Ritchie, I think it was either last night or the night before when he was doing his annual Cheltenham Festival preview with Lydia Hislop and Matt Chapman, all those, he was still on the fence, and I think he was being genuine about that. I don't think he was trying to hoodwink anyone. I think they are going to try and wait till the very last minute. I think it probably just boils down to the sort of science over your head. Your head, science and your head over your heart, because I think your heart says have a crack at the champion. You'll only ever get one chance. This is probably not the strongest of champion hurdles she's ever going to do it now at 7. This is probably it. You wait another year, she's another year older. You know, the sands of time start dripping away. And do we ever remember sort of, Mares Hurdle winners? Yeah, they're lauded, but not as much as the Champion Hurdle winners. And she's already won a Mares Hurdle, so she's got not a lot got to prove or to gain by that. But that said, she is vulnerable over 2 miles. She's 3 for 6 over 2 miles, where she's almost unbeaten over 2.5. 2.5 is the trip, but then she's got Woodoo to take on. There's an argument to say trying to beat Woodoo is a harder task here. So it's a real balancing act. I don't envy them for this. They're going to get, not say slaughtered, but there's going to be disgruntledness one way or the other. Oh, you should have had a go, you're chickening out. And then it'll be, you go into the other race, they'll be thinking, oh, you should. Why did you cop out and take Woodoo on? Woodoo was, the better mare of the two. So it's a tricky one for them. I've tried to come away from the front end of the market because I think there's doubts about all of them. The brighter days ahead thing, I don't know whether Cheltenham's a negative. We'll find out from the third run. It'll be third time lucky job, won't it? But it all boils down to the fact she has got beaten there when she's been strongly fancied. Whether there's other circumstances at play, I don't know. Gordon's obviously talking a good game. The new line, just looking on form on what he did last time out, he did only beat Nemain Line and Brentford, hoping a bit of a joke race. We didn't really learn a great deal about him other than he can stay on his feet. So I've been sort of coming to the thought process for about 2 or 3 weeks now that I think Alexi is the bet for me, just because I think the form of his Great Wood is good enough for him to be on the premises in a weak season of champion hurdle horses, because I don't think there's a great deal between top to bottom, and top rated sort of like mid 150s. Last year's winner is 152, and I mean he's 149 or whatever it is. So I don't think he's got a huge amount to find, but he just keeps winning. And he's got that habit of winning, and he's won at Cheltenham this season. And I could just see him having nothing to do with the early pace, likely to be set by Tutti Quanti, and just ridden cold. And he's very dangerous. He's got a good turn of foot, and the quicker the ground, the better for him as well. I don't think he really handled the soft ground at Ascot when he got beat, when he was a short price favourite behind Willful. And I know it was heavy last time out, and he probably could have been a bit more impressive when he beat Rubo, but that wasn't his conditions. But on good ground, or good to soft ground, he's a pretty decent operator. So 16, if I can get 16 to 1 again, I'll play on the sort of markets with few firms that bet 4 and 5 places and stuff like that. You can back in place only. That'll do for me.
I think you'll do well to get any more than 3 places on offer now. Only, what, 8 in it now, 9 in it now? So.
Yeah, but there will be firms on the day that'll bet 4 and 5 places. If you go on the bet builders and place only markets, they'll be. There are. I won't mention names, but they will be. So shop around. You don't have to back the winner to make more money in a race like this.
Alexi, the one for Andy, currently 16 to 1, a 5th of 3 with Parimatch. And if you do wait too long to back each way, there's a chance obviously the race will cut up and you'll only be getting 2 places on the day. So whichever way you want to spin it. Aidan, who's your champion hurdle selection?
Well, I got a tad excited when everyone else was drifting Amsterdam in that race Christmas. I just think if they can sort out his pulling too hard and stuff like that. Now, his price is not... I went and I kind of backed it then because people were let out to 40 to 1. But even as it stands, I don't think there's anything at all between Amsterdam and Golden Ace, even on that... what was that race? The Fighting Fifth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just... that was his first run. I think there is a good... Now, in a normal champion hurdle, I started the year, my brother had been on about Amsterdam, I started the year kind of laughing at that. But, like, when you look at this champion hurdle, there's nothing between him and Golden Ace or the new line, really. Brighter Days Ahead is probably a victim of the thing I'm always going on about, which is these horses are only able to do those kind of big performances once in their whole lives. And it's happened countless times. It just has happened countless times. So even as it is, like he's maybe 16, I think he's going to go off because Paul Downing's not going to be riding it, because it looks, I think Lassie Mouth's going to go.
Yeah.
She's only 7. She can win another 3 of those Mayor's hurdles.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not, and that is the real possibility. She will. She can run again next year.
Yeah.
And the year after. And the year after.
Yeah.
Like I think now she's a fair bit clear.
She won't get a better chance.
I think if they don't go, this is no point having a horse. I think that she will go for it. Once they're not, they're just, it's Willie, I think, likes to, and I know he wants to win a race, Rich Ritchie and stuff like that, but with a 7-year-old who, unless Wadu turns out to be almost a champion hurdle horse herself, is just going to win that the next couple of years anyway. I think it's going to run, and I would fancy it to beat the New Line and Golden Ace and all those in that race if she runs. I just think, the 2.5 mile thing is a bit overplayed. Like, she ran really well against Constitution Hill in Kempton when we were all kind of, that was a pity, Constitution Hill won by like 5 lengths, roused up.
Yeah.
But like, he was up to then, he was beating everything by 20 lengths on the bridle. That's still a half decent run. Might actually be good enough to win this, just that one run in the Christmas hurdle that time. But as I said, look, I'll probably, on the day, I'll back Amsterdam, and I kind of assuming around a 20 to 1 each way, the 3 places. I'd say there will be 3 somehow. And but of those ones at the top of the market, I definitely like Lassie Mouth.
There is talk about her working the other day in headgear of some description at the Curragh. I think he took his Tuesday horses to the Curragh on, I think it was Monday, and she was one of them, and she worked in headgear. I don't know how that gallop went, but
yeah,
the tiniest amount of parking up with her now, I think puts her
yeah.
in a good position here.
2 more races on the card on Tuesday. We'll start with the plate handicap, where Madara and McClory are the 4-1 joint favourites with Parimatch. Will the Wise is 9-1, Beckett Rock 12-1, 14-1 down memory lane, 16-1 about down Mexico way, and Quebecois we've already discussed earlier, 20-1 bar those. Aidan, anything for you in the plate?
Yeah, I'm thinking that I had a look at this morning. I've a couple of change of minds. Though my Dara's a horse I like, but I mean, there's under no circumstances going to back that at 4-1 in a race like the Plate. I mean, it's one of the maddest races. Those 2 mile 5 races at Cheltenham are mad races. So I'm going to go back down to the reliables in these races, which has worked before, age or not. Do you know what I mean? And Il Ridotto's profile is, he goes down the handicap and he wins one of these, and maybe he's won like 3 of them. It's similar, you know, where he's gone down the handicap, he's got his good ground, he's ready to go. And previously there has been other races than this one, but he's down below any of his last winning marks. He's still only 9. I just would fancy he's going to run well here. Paul Nicholls has a couple of ones like this that seem more, they're about the handicap-wise right time in other races as well. But I just can't, you know, I like the top 2 in this market, but they're just too short. I'm unsure about most of the rest of them. So I'm kind of assuming on the reasonable ground off a mark he has won a couple of times around here before that Il Ridotto will get there. There's one I'm interested in at a very big price. It's Croke Park. It is hard to tell whether, I think this would suit him better than the 3 miles. He's slightly shorter in the exchange. It goes up and down. But I think on his day he's a classy horse, and it might just suit him. He's won a couple of grade 1s. Even some runs this year would give you hope. It's just he's down to 150, which is definitely within his scope now. So those are the 2 I'm interested in. Probably, I don't know whether Croke Park's going to run, but if he does, I will be backing him at around 40-1, I think. And Il Ridotto seems around 25-1, that kind of thing. 25-1
the pair at the moment with Parimatch. Currently Il Ridotto and Croke Park. Andy?
Yeah, front end of the market is just too biased one way towards those sexy ones, Madara and McClory. That you know, sort of like 6-4, 7-4 the pair. That's just crazy. I quite like one that ran really well in the Novices handicap last season behind Corwell Potter, and he comes off the same mark, O'More Park. I thought he ran really nicely that day.
20-1.
Yeah. He's kind of been a little bit overlooked, but he also ran well at the meeting afterwards in the April on good ground. He should have won that day, in my opinion. And if you look at what they've done with him this season, they've been trying him over the wrong trip. They've been running over 3 miles. So they ran him in the Paddy Power Chase. They ran him on heavy ground or soft ground at the DRF last time out. That wouldn't have suited him. He's a good ground horse. But he ran well. But he finished second to Oscar's brother in a beginners at Galway early on in the season. So he's got a bit of quality about him. And good ground will definitely suit him, so he's definitely one to look out for. And I'm going to start my Henry de Bromhead loving by mentioning one of his as well. Beckett Rock. It was second in a good race of the day at Gowran on bad ground behind Mount Frisco. Now, Mount Frisco that day ran his 2.5 mile race 22 seconds quicker than Ed Pere Pass. I know the Impere Pass race was a bit of a joke, but there was another race on the card as well. It was won by King Alexandra, and by far and away the best race of the 3 was Mount Frisco's race, and Beckett Rock was second in it on ground that he didn't want, and he was 5th to Jimmy Soy last year in the Coral Cup. So his Coral Cup form is really strong, almost like grade 3 form, and he's off a chase mark of 132 off the back of a good run last time. So if he gets nice ground on the day, he could also be dangerous. So my 2 for the field at this stage, it could easily change, of course, when the final decks come through, would be Beckett Rock and O'Toole. O'More Park, yeah.
O'More Park, 20-1. Beckett Rock, 12-1 with Parimatch. Final race on the card on the Tuesday is the National Hunt Novice handicap Chase, where Back Me or Sack Me is the 4-1 favourite ahead of Newton Tornado at 6-1. Weighed out 8-1. Iceberg Theory is 10-1 alongside Brave Fortune, 12-1 One Big Bang. Plenty of others in there as well. But Andy, I'll come to you first here because I know one of your strongest fancies of the week is Newton Tornado at 6-1.
Yeah, I won't over-elaborate about this because I've talked about Newton Tornado in various other podcasts throughout the course of the week. So I won't bore you to tears with the same details. But in a very, very short couple of sentences, he's got solid time figures behind him. He represents last season's winning trainer with Horticouleur. He's a similar type to Horticouleur. He's on the up. He ran really well at Cheltenham early in the season before on seating ride. I think he would have won that day had he stayed on his feet. I just like his profile. He's actually a really good jumper, despite his fall early on the year, which is a bit of a contradiction. So I'll be hopeful that he justifies my opinion of him being my idea of the best bet on day one.
Okay, yeah, best bet of the day there. Andy's Nap Newton Tornado at 6-1 in the lucky last. Aidan?
Yeah, this is one we can probably skip over. I have a horse in it that I'm interested in. He's in this, the Enabler. I'm interested in him for something. I'm unsure as to whether this will be the ideal. I think he's well handicapped and I think on good ground and stuff he'll go well as well. Maybe will do as well. I just see what price these get to. It's a very tight market. Some of these are going to be 40 50 to 1. Will do. His record on reasonable ground over an extended trip is very good. And he ran really well in this last year. He was third behind basically an unbeatable horse, as it turned out. So he'll interest me. I kind of have if he gets 33 to 1, 5 places, I'm backing that regardless because his chances of coming in the first 5 very, very strong, I'd say. And the Enabler is something to have for the meeting. Can't be sure what he's going to run in yet.
Really interesting. There we have it. That is the end of our day one preview. We're about to record day 2, 3 and 4. So make sure you keep an eye out for those. Thank you very much to Parimatch for sponsoring these episodes. If you haven't already got an account, make sure you sign up for one. You can click on the link in the show description. And there is, of course, that new customer offer there as well. Thank you very much to Andy.
Pleasure.
Thank you to Aidan. We'll be on to the next soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But do enjoy the racing and please ensure that you're gambling responsibly.